Hey folks, what's going on? It's me, Andrew Westmoreland, back again with yet another stream. Now, if you were watching, I think 2 or 3 people managed to catch it before I pulled it. But my original video I did on this, the audio was so bad, like I was listening to it, it's completely unwatchable. So, yeah, that had to be fixed. It was so bad, like. So what I ended up doing, I went through StreamYard settings. It was the echo cancellation that was screwing me over, and it was like automatic audio or volume adjust. That was the problem. Now it sounds significantly better, and this is using the built-in microphone in the webcam. So I hope it's better on your end. I think it's good. We're just going to keep going ahead. So it's really interesting, like Joe Biden was talking about the New World Order, the new liberal order or whatever, liberal world order, and the media and stuff is automatically like, oh, don't pay any mind to that, it doesn't exist. You know, if you even talk about it or try to quote it, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, don't even worry. You know, it's not a thing. It's not a thing. Now, that would be celebration parallax is my new favorite term. And I'm going to go through all of what this means. It is a beautiful term, and I am so glad that I have the privilege of learning it. And yeah, we're going to get into this. So, first things first, you need to understand that the New World Order simultaneously exists and doesn't exist at the same time, according to these people. And I'm going to get into all of this. So here's a video of Joe Biden talking about this liberal world order. Oh, son of a...
You know, we are at an inflection point, I believe, in the world economy. Not just the world economy, in the world. It occurs every 3 or 4 generations. As one of the top military people said to me in a secure meeting the other day, 60 million people died between 1900 and 1946. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people died, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it. We've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it.
Okay. I mean, you just heard it. He just said it. Okay, it's not something anybody is making up. It's not some conspiracy theory. It's like, dude, people have been talking about the New World Order for generations at this point. This is not something new. There's nothing new about this whatsoever. And in fact, the first time I ever heard the term, I was alive, I believe, when he said this. If not, I was an infant child. Reagan talked about the New World Order. Okay? So, what is this article talking about? This is, again, from Newsweek, and the Ewan Palmer is the author. Claims about the existence and implementation of a new world order have spread online after President Joe Biden used the phrase in a speech. While the phrase New World Order is generally used to denote a significant geopolitical change, it could also designate a conspiracy theory that stipulates a secretive globalist authority is seeking to control the world under a totalitarian regime and strip sovereign countries and its citizens of their freedom. I mean, that's literally what's happening, and that's literally what they admit to doing. For the most part. So I don't understand how that's a conspiracy theory. Like the first part, significant geopolitical change. Yeah, that's what the New World Order is. That's what they say. And then to say that it's a secretive globalist authority. I mean, some of them are fairly secretive. They have secret private meetings. I mean, that's real. I mean, that's confirmed. It's not a rumor or a conspiracy theory. That's real. And is seeking to control the world under a totalitarian regime and strip foreign countries and citizens of their freedom. I mean, that's a fact. Because look at what's been happening in the last 20 years. They're stripped the Middle East of their sovereignty and the citizens of freedom. That's a fact. They've blown up hundreds of thousands of people in the Middle East under the guise of, this quote-unquote New World Order. No, they don't always call it that. Several conservatives and conspiracy theorists, including followers of the radical QAnon, oh, here we go, of course, QAnon is a dirty word. Conservatives, conspiracy theorists, and QAnon. Come on, man. Like, you're ridiculous. All right, so I'm done with this one. Let's move on to the next part here. You got to prove, this is, again, I try to tell people, like, you don't believe what I'm saying, that's fine. Search it. You just search for it. It took me 3 seconds to type in liberal world order. Okay? This is from World 101. They're connected to, World Economic Forum and all this other stuff. Liberal world order. After World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, countries sought to ensure the world never again devolved into such horrific violence. Okay? World leaders created a series of international organizations and agreements to promote global cooperation on issues including security, trade, health, and monetary policy. Sorry about that if there was an echo. I'm just trying to make sure the audio is good. It's been complete trash for the last few weeks here. Where was I at? I'm sorry. World leaders create a series of international organizations and agreements to promote global cooperation on issues including security, trade, health, monetary policy. The United States has championed this system known as the liberal world order for the past 75 years. During this time, the world has enjoyed unprecedented peace and prosperity. Okay. So, I mean, these things are just out in the open. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not some ridiculous happenstance or something that somebody just fabricated and made up. It's real, and they openly talk about it. And they, these politicians, these world leaders, these corporations, international corporations, the mega wealthy, and the elites. All of these people just pretty much openly talk about it to a degree, right? The secretive part is they might change. They may not say New World Order or the Liberal World Order, stuff like that. They'll use other terms and that kind of allude to it, like the Build Back Better and all this other stuff is like, that's what they're talking about. All that is connected. And I'm not going to pretend like it's entirely nefarious or, I can't speak for, what is actually said in the back rooms. I can only speak on, what they publicly say. And a lot of it is just really shitty policy. It will result in, hundreds of thousands, not millions of people dying if they fully take control. So, let me see what I can do. I'm trying to make this balanced to where you can read it. Yeah, you can read that. Should be able to read that if you want to follow along. But I'll say this, like, any society definitely has a certain level of authoritarianism. It has to, for it to be a society. There's no such thing as a anarchist society. It doesn't exist. It can never exist because it's completely paradoxical for a society to exist that is completely anarchy. It's like, it's not a society then. So, the anarcho-capitalist mindset or whatever, it's like it's not a society. It's just anything goes. There is zero government. There is no way to hold anyone accountable. Anyone that has more power than you, they have stronger weapons, or they've decided to organize and create a government, essentially, a gang or warlords or A formal government can just come and do whatever they want to you because, I mean, why not? You can't stop them. You're one person. You're an anarchy. You're anarchy. Yeah, you're into anarchism. So it doesn't make sense. However, these people don't understand the concept of consent. They just think that because we're wealthy and we're the elites, and some of us have these names that are hundreds of years old, thousands of years old, that have been modified throughout the centuries. You know, minor tweaks on their names. If you look, it's not important, but these people do these things and they don't understand what consent is. They just force it on us and just be like, "Oh, you should be happy that I am doing this service for you." It's like, dude, nobody asked for this. Nobody asked that you take away our rights and our freedoms, take away liberty and justice and all these different things just so you can run it and because it's safety and security. It's like Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars, like, yeah, you've taken everything over and then now there's peace. It's like, well, yeah, because you've completely destroyed our entire system and took away all of our violated all of our values. Hold on one second. All right, so I apologize about that, but sometimes at work you got to do work. Where was I at? So I think I was talking about how sometimes in a society you're not going to be 100% free. That's just not how that works. But there is a nice balance where you can enjoy, the maximum amount of freedom while still having, these things, security, health, and in a economy, right? But what they've been doing has been just like an unmitigated disaster, and they're pretending like, they're helping this planet. It's like their security. Like, okay, what are you securing? We had all these terrorist attacks. All these different nations around the world have been experiencing genocides and, war perpetrated by America, which is, the one that's running, the one who's championing this system, according to this source. Health, we're funding all these biolabs and research labs, and we have all these pharmaceutical companies that are doing all this disease research and all that. And yeah, there's some progress, but then we have all these outbreaks, and don't even get me started on the monetary policy, the economics. Like, they're destroying all these nations around the world. It's like, dude, you're evil. Like, you're not actually helping anybody. One more thing before we move on to the next section here. I want to make sure that this is actually doing what I need it to do here. All right, it is. The different organizations that are connected to this liberal world order: the UN, World Bank, International Monetary Fund, World Trade Organization, World Health Organization. Okay, so those are just a few for you to understand that this is, who's perpetuating a lot of this stuff. Hold on one moment, because apparently YouTube is greatly suppressing this video, and there's literally nobody watching the stream. That is unusual even for my heavily suppressed channel. I'm going to share this out on the few social medias that I'm allowed to be on. I don't even know if I even boost anything on this anymore. I don't even know how many tokens I have. Okay. So we had Joe Biden saying his thing. We just talked about what is a liberal world order. It is a fact. It exists. And the next, we're going to get into the author of this term, or the guy who coined it, as far as I'm concerned, Michael Anton. Okay. The headline quote is, "That's not happening, and it's good that it is." Okay? It's a paradox. It is when generally authority figures, people in positions of power, are championing or pushing a type of idea or policy or a politic type of thing. And they're like, oh, this is great, this is wonderful. And then when somebody tries to openly criticize it, or, not even in direct opposition to it, all of a sudden, oh, it doesn't exist, or that's not happening, or you're crazy, you're racist, you're extremist, you're a conspiracy theorist. Okay, that's what this term means. That's what a celebration parallax is. When they do it, it's great, it's fantastic. When you do it, or when you say that they're doing it, oh, it doesn't exist, or oh, you're crazy, all that stuff. So we're going to get down in this. This is a quick and dirty guide to regime propaganda. Gaslighting, getting you down. Feel like the regime has dialed the megaphone up to and past 11. You're not crazy. It's definitely happening and likely to get worse as our master's ability to cope with reality further worsens, or worse. They gain the complete and absolute control they seek. They're both scornful and terrified of dissent, which explains why they incessantly shriek at us and lie to our faces. Okay. There's a couple of things in here, or a couple of sections, but I just want to focus on the celebration parallax. I'm going to be reading this stuff on my own, the other sections, but this is the one that is like completely pertinent to me, because they're basically like, what is a good example? It's like when they say somebody is racist, or they always call people racist, but then they're the ones that are doing racist things the most. That would be like a celebration parallax. They celebrate their racism and are just like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is fantastic. Or they'll just openly admit that they're racist, or what they're doing is racist. Oh, this is positive racism. It's fantastic. And when you're like, dude, you're like discriminating against white people just because they're white. What are you talking about? And they just like do that weird like thing. Like they completely are off their rockers. That's what a celebration parallax is. And we're going to keep going in this. A parallax is a apparent difference in the position of the same object seen from different vantage points. For instance, an analog speedometer that reads 60 miles per hour to the driver but 50 to the passenger, even though the needle itself is only in one place. Because of your perspective, and how you're positioned in the vehicle, driver's on one place, the passenger's on the other. It's going to look like it's different when it's actually in a fixed position. Now, a celebration parallax may be stated as the same fact pattern is either true and glorious or false and scurrilous, depending on who states it. In contemporary speech on any controversial topic, or to say better, regime priority, the decisive factor is the intent of the speaker. If he or she can be presumed to be celebrating the phenomenon under discussion, he or she may shout her approval from the rooftops. If not, he or she better shut up before someone comes along to shut them up. I want to think of another one that's been similar. It's like the immigration issue. So in America, it's like, oh, you're racist because you want to close down the southern borders, or because you just don't like those brown people. Yet it's only because you're in opposition to them, because they openly want, they want open borders, and they just want anybody to come over here. And then when you explain, okay, they just want everybody to come over here. Oh, you're racist. Oh, that's not happening. We're not allowing just anybody to come over here. And it's like, dude, you literally are talking about doing that. Like, what are you talking about? And it makes you like doubt your sanity sometimes, because they're absolutely ridiculous with just how they're twisting and turning everything. Ketanji Brown Jackson, or whatever her name is, the Supreme Court Justice nominee, she's literally a diversity hire because Joe Biden said that she is a diversity hire. He said that he's only going to nominate a black woman for Supreme Court Justice. Okay, that's fantastic, I guess, if you're a racist. Okay, that makes her a diversity hire. That that's exactly what that is. This is an affirmative action Supreme Court Justice if she gets in. And then Democrats in Congress are acting like, oh my God, these Republicans are just so racist. They're basically calling you a diversity hire. It's like, you called him or called her a diversity hire. You brought her name on this list as a diversity hire, as an affirmative action, a Supreme Court nominee, not anyone else. And it's just so fascinating to me how many people fall for this, and it's just so obvious. Okay, let's continue with this brilliant explanation of what a celebration parallax is. The celebration parallax may be stated as, we just read that. Note also the key distinction here is celebration versus non-celebration, not support versus opposition. That is a very key distinction. One need not actually clearly oppose the subject under discussion in order to be blameworthy. Okay. So, yeah, that's basically like if you're not even in direct opposition. So, like I was trying to say before, it's like you could not even be like Democrat versus Republican. Let's just say it's like a Democrat or liberal or leftist who is proposing this idea or talking point or whatever. And you're like kind of like a toe in. You're like, well, I don't know exactly about that, but, you know, and you're just mildly criticizing or questioning it. You're immediately, automatically, like against them, automatically an enemy to them, because it's all or nothing for them. These people are like extremist cultists. Now, declining or neglecting to celebrate it forcefully enough is enough. As in Stalin's Russia, lack of enthusiastic clapping is regarded as opposition. See, I mean, it's extremism to the extreme. It's totalitarianism. The legitimacy of one's right to state the same identical fact in the same identical language depends on who one is and what one thinks of it. Again, brilliantly and easily understood. Okay? You can literally say the same thing that that they're talking about, but they'll change it. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're xenophobic. Oh, you hate women. And it's like, dude, I'm literally quoting what you said. And this is the same kind of bullshit we're seeing on social media, where I have been banned from Twitter for basically the same thing. I have been suspended on YouTube. My channel has all these strikes for simply citing data from officials, like CDC data, World Health Organization data. I'm quoting politicians like Joe Biden. I'm quoting Anthony Fauci. And we get in trouble for that. We're literally saying the same thing they're saying verbatim, but because we are not in the in crowd, because we oppose them on some degree or are questioning them, we are automatically labeled as an enemy. Okay? This is a celebration parallax. When they do it, they celebrate and clap and cheer. It's the best thing in the world. But when you say it, but in a slightly different way, or you're asking questions about it, or maybe even criticizing it, now all of a sudden it's like it doesn't exist. You're crazy. You're a monster, etc., etc. Let's see, where's that? Since the left presumes that all persons of color approve of the phenomena covered by the celebration parallax, a parallax is really a test to distinguish allies from deplorables. Yes. To the best of my recollection, the origin of the celebration parallax arose from the need to defend affirmative action. Thank you. I get this. I totally get this concept, and it's beautiful. A very unpopular policy since its inception. The party line therefore goes like this: people of color must be granted explicit preferences to overcome America's legacy of racism, so that we may diversify America's power centers and end white male dominance. A move that, in addition to being necessary to address the country's inherent racism, improves those institutions by infusing them with different and hitherto neglected points of view. Also, kids of color need role models who look like themselves. But there is no such thing as reverse discrimination, which is itself a racist term, and there are no quotas, another racist term, whatsoever, but only timetables, goals, and measures to evaluate applicants and candidates holistically. Okay, like if you're following this, it's beautiful how they're explaining this. On no subject is the parallax more prevalent than immigration. Okay, so again, totally get it. Totally get this concept, and you can easily apply it and just be like, okay, that's what this is talking about. On no subject is the parallax more prevalent than immigration. Depending on who's doing the talking, the demographic transformation of the United States is either a glorious trend that portends a permanent democratic majority and a more vibrant future, or else a conspiracy theory that is not happening in any way at all, no how. The left insists that concerns from certain quarters that immigration policy in America and Europe amounts to a great replacement, that it's a dangerous, evil, racist, false conspiracy theory. But a leftist New York Times columnist can write an article entitled, "We Can Replace Them," and nothing. Same fundamental point, except she's all for it and her targets aren't. A U.S. senator can exult that demographic change will doom Republicans. Joe Biden himself can refer to an unrelenting stream of immigration. Except they're celebrating it and calling for it. Anyone on the right who uses the exact same words will not merely be denounced. The very fact pattern that is affirmed when Biden says it will be denied and the rightist repeats it, or when the rightist repeats it. So again, when Joe Biden talks about the new world order and the liberal world order, it's fine, it's great, because it's Biden who's saying it. But when somebody who is not in the in crowd, in the party, says it, to criticize it or question it or ask for clarification or give context or anything like that, they are a threat. And that's what a celebration parallax is. It is the most beautiful term that I have probably heard all year, if not all of the last few years. Celebration parallax. It's a critical term that we all need to know. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, again, absolutely brilliant term. When I heard that term and heard the definition of how it's been explained, it's just absolutely, it blew my mind, to be honest. Because it's just like, oh, that's what's happening. So again, there's other terms here. That are kind of included. The law of salutatory contradiction. Okay, so it's similar to a celebratory parallax. But I don't want to get into necessarily all of this stuff. Just understand that what's been happening is absolutely organized. It's been intentional. There are no accidents. They are intentionally doing the things that they have been doing because it's part of their goal. It's part of their plan. And the sooner you understand that, or the sooner you realize that, the better off you will be. Okay? The problem, the challenge that we are facing is that most people do not follow anything that's of any real measure that's been happening in the world or in our society. They follow culture stuff. Like they follow actors and actresses. They follow musicians. They don't really give a damn about politics, or at least they try to stay away with it. They basically treat politics like religion, which is absolutely insane. Rome used to be a very heavily political society where you would have people debating and talking about politics constantly and everywhere. It was a part of their society. You would debate and argue and share ideas and all this stuff, and it would get moved around, and it would be dynamic and fluid, and it was a beautiful thing. Talking about politics is now like talking about religion, and it's ridiculous to me, because how are you supposed to maintain a stable society if you can't even talk about these things? But yeah, it's been stigmatized, so most Americans avoid political speech with friends and family. They just kind of keep to themselves. So then you only have extremists. You only have the extremists that are the ones getting out there. Okay? I'm seeing some weird jumps in views. They're going up and down like really dramatically. So I don't know if something's wrong with YouTube, if they are causing me problems, or what's going on, but I hope that whoever is watching is able to hear me clearly, and that this reaches you in a good way. So pretty much, again, this goes into the theme that almost everything these people tell you is probably the opposite. It is probably the opposite. Okay? If they tell you that the grass is purple, assume that it's the opposite color. If I don't know, purple's not really an opposite color. It's a composite. It's a composite. So it'd be like they say the grass is blue, and you're like, it's actually red or whatever. You need to understand that. You need to understand that whatever they're telling you is probably not true. And it's like these things, the movie Don't Look Up, they tried to make it seem like it was like stupid Trump supporters, or like, oh, they refused to look up at the sky to see the comet coming crashing down to kill us all. And it's like, it's the boy who cried wolf. Like, dude, you've lied to us so many times. I've lost count. Hundreds, thousands of times in my lifetime. Major stories that now it's just like every time they say something, I assume it's not true or it's the opposite. And yeah, a couple days, couple weeks, a month later, it turns out, oh, just kidding, that wasn't real, that was fake, we made that up. You know, you're just like promoting fake news because that's what we do. And there's zero accountability with these people. There is no accountability. And we just allow this to just keep continuing. What is it? The Gelman Amnesia effect is basically where you're an expert in whatever topic. Let's say you are a plumber, and you're reading in the news, or there's a news story on TV or something that's talking about plumbing, and you're like, dude, they're completely wrong. Like, I've been a plumber for 15 years, and whatever they're saying about plumbing, I don't know, something about pipes and what materials to use or something, is just completely wrong. And you're like, oh, that's ridiculous. Like, they clearly don't know what they're talking about. And then they switch to a news story about something you're not an expert in. Let's say they just start talking about, I don't know, auto repair, car repairs and shit. And you just automatically assume that what they're saying is true. That's the Gelman Amnesia effect, and that's our problem. Is we keep getting duped by these people. Why do you keep believing them? I do not understand this phenomenon. Why are you continuing to believe these people who are just lying? They're always lying to you. Okay? So I don't know. I just wanted to bring this stuff up because a lot of people don't understand what's been happening. A lot of people are confused. A lot of people are scared, and they don't know what to do or what to think, what's real, what's not real, who to trust and who to believe. And the only thing I can tell people is, like, don't believe anyone. Like, don't believe me. I don't want you to believe me. I don't necessarily want you to even trust me. I want you to listen to me, and then I want you to go and independently verify it yourself. Don't be lazy. Research this stuff. It took me literally 3 seconds. I type in liberal world order, enter, and it pops up this stuff. It gives you the source. I have 3 articles here talking about liberal world order. Okay? Joe Biden said this. Well, it's a conspiracy theory if you say it, but, Joe Biden can say it because, he's Joe Biden. It's like, what? These people are walking paradoxes. They do not make sense. And they expect us, the average person, to be completely stupid and unable to see that. Problem is, the average person is not paying attention, so they're not hearing all this contradictory information. They're not hearing these corrections a day, a week, a month later, corrections of these stories they got completely wrong, 100% wrong. They said the Hunter Biden laptop story was fake, that it was Russian propaganda, Russian disinformation. Okay, we knew immediately it was real. And they censored it, a month before the election, and it was such a dramatic impact on that election. All the polling data that came out, it was like 5 different polls from 5 different organizations, all aggregated together, said that Biden would have lost the election had the Hunter Biden laptop story basically been allowed to be posted on social media, and that news organizations actually covered it. Basically, anyone, they polled these people and asked, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, is involved in this corruption scandal with Ukraine, which, that's interesting now, how America's trying not to go to war with Russia because of this whole Ukraine situation. Anyway, basically a family corruption scheme where there's basically, it's alleged that they're making like tens of millions of dollars from Ukraine, Hunter and the father, Joe Biden. And had they known that was a real legitimate story, that it wasn't fabricated, it's real, and it was corroborated on Hunter Biden's laptops that he keeps leaving around everywhere, apparently there's like 3 laptops. Had that story been allowed to be out in the public, Joe Biden would not have won, and Trump would have had a second term. That's how dramatic and how powerful and impactful these things are. The average person is not watching news and politics like you and I are. They're worrying about, are we going to have enough gas money this week? Are we going to be able to pay our bills? Oh, we were watching The Price is Right, or I don't know, just generic show, and, you're just doing regular, average, day-to-day things. They're not concerned with politics. They're not concerned with just how screwed up this situation is. So I'm seeing, again, the viewers are going radically up and down. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's literally people are just joining and leaving that quickly. But if you are consistently watching, can you leave a comment real quick? because I have no idea what's happening. It's just showing the viewership spiking and then going down to zero. Spiking, going down to zero. So I don't know what that's about. So again, if you could just leave a comment real quick in the live chat so I can see what's going on. So again, this celebration parallax is just another one of these terms that you need to have floating around in your head. Okay? We got to stop being lazy. We got to stop, just being like, well, I'm going to be fine. I'm living in a rural area and I have 5 years worth of food, of water, and I have tens of thousands of rounds of ammunition and 20 guns. It's like, fantastic. Good for you. But what about everybody else? And you're by yourself and maybe your family. You have like 4 to 6 people in your home on your property. Okay, that's great. But the government has millions of people in Fiery Waco. Okay, I see you here. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my view counter, but my point is, you're one family. You're one person, one family. You're not a community. You're not a city. You're not a state. Okay, it's safety in numbers. We got to stop doing this like individual shit. And I don't mean that in a let's be collectivists like the far leftists. I'm saying that was a part of what America was. We were collectivists in the sense of community. Community's dead now. Very few people know their neighbors. Very few people have been organizing in any meaningful way to try to, save what's left of this country. So I basically am just asking that if you take anything away from this, obviously knowing what's happening is important, but you also have to take action. Pretending like you're going to be fine in the apocalypse or, during some major world war or something like, oh, I'm going to be fine. I'm living in the mountains in Appalachia or something. Like, it's like, dude, you're not understanding. You're not understanding the gravity of this situation. And if you're a religious person, just know that you will be judged by your actions and not just your words. Okay? I can say really crazy shit, and it's like it's irrelevant compared to my actions. Okay? Yeah, there's going to be some points, demerits, basically, if I say crazy stuff or bad stuff or evil stuff. There's going to be demerits. Bad karma, or it's a sinful, or whatever you want to call it. But if I actually act on the things I'm saying, if they're bad, that is like 10 times worse, 100 times worse, 1,000 times worse. Okay? It's like words are greater than thoughts. Actions are greater than words. Okay? So you can say, all the right things and agree, oh, I got you, I understand, but you have to do more than that. Okay? Because that time is now. I've been saying that for a year now plus, that, the time for talk is, there's always time to talk, I guess. There are certain people that can speak, certain people that are going to be mouthpieces, certain people that can inspire or whatever. And I get that. Oh my God. I'll get to that chat in a second. I'm almost done, wrapped up with the main topic. But everyone can't be on YouTube, or everyone can't have a podcast. Everyone can't be a reporter or whatever. That's not for everyone. And it's really weird that everyone's trying to start podcasts and do YouTube and stuff. I feel like they're just trying to get rich quick or be famous or something. And obviously I don't care about that because I have none of those things. I have my tiny little corner and I hope that I reach a few people. My point is, if you are a car mechanic, like you are amazing at that, then you need to provide that service to the community. And I'm not saying do it for free or whatever. I'm just saying, like, gather like-minded people together. I'm sure there's somebody in your area, your community, for the most part. You could start organizing and start having these services together. Like, you really think that this hasn't been thought about before? There's so many different communities who do this. Some of them in racial communities, ethnic communities, nationalistic communities, like a group of Ukrainians, you know, and a Muslim community, a Jewish community. They gather around. Okay, you're good at carpentry. We're doing our business with you. Oh, you're the auto mechanic. We're coming to you for fixing our car, etc., etc. You need to start doing that with your like-minded people, and stop giving these people resources. Stop giving these people time. Stop giving them any of your energy whatsoever. That's really the best I could tell you on this one. So yeah, again, anything you see on the news, for the most part, I just assume it's either completely a lie or made up, or it's the complete opposite. All right. Ren Hoskins, did you hear Hampton University is offering free tuition, room and board to Ukrainian refugees? I did not, and it just infuriates me that that kind of thing is even happening. And I don't have to explain myself to anyone, too, because we've gotten into this bad habit of feeling like, oh, we have to explain it. Like, oh, that's so controversial. What do you mean you don't want to help the poor Ukrainians? But I'll explain it because I feel like it deserves an explanation. The fact that we're giving our resources to somebody, to a group of people on the other side of the planet that have nothing to do with us is insane to me. It's asinine. We have students here, okay? We have people here who are desperately struggling to be able to afford college. Desperately struggling to afford college, and you're going to go give it to some foreigners who can't even speak our language, who don't hold American values, and we're just expected to be like, oh, that's fine, that's okay. Oh, they're just poor Ukrainians in the middle of a war. It's like, no, dude. It's not okay. It's not okay. I don't care where these people are from all around the world. We are obligated as a species to try to help one another. Okay? But we have our own problems here and now. I'm not gonna try to give my resources away. It's insane to me. You know, help your own first, and then once you're taken care of, you're good and secure, then you can go and help other people. That's not controversial. So, no, I had not heard that, but that is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And you know, of course, Biden is just, you know, shipping Ukrainians over here and all kinds of people from all over the world. Like, you know, why not? Ship everybody. Anyone who wants to come to America, you know, just up and move, and we'll even try to get you on a boat or a plane, and we'll just have a billion. Let's just send 2 billion people to America. Okay, let's put 2 billion people in America, completely shifting everything that America ever was. Where the people who have genetic ties to this country, Native Americans, white and black people, and a peppering of Hispanic, who have family ties that have been here for hundreds of years, you know, completely override them and just have everyone from all over the planet come here. It's insane. It's insane, but hey, that's what they want, right? Let's just do it. Let's just do it. It's unheard of. No country in the history of the world has ever had an immigration system like America, where it's illegal to cross the border, but then when you get here, it's like, oh, congrats, you're in the green zone. We're going to give you free everything. You're going to basically have more resources than people who were born here, who deserve to be here, who are entitled to be here. It's insane to me. This is what leftist America wants. They're insane. And there is method to their madness, though. Okay? There is method to their madness, because we know People way smarter than me kind of have been putting two and two together over the last few years and like, wait a minute. If the Democrats import tens of millions of illegal immigrants and the census counts them anyway, like it's not just citizens, they count everybody, and then you get congressional seats based on population, not citizenship. Wait a minute, if we flood them all to liberal areas, we can get more congressional seats and more power. It's like, I wonder why they're for open borders. Interesting. And isn't it just strange that they want illegal immigrants to be allowed to vote? Isn't that strange? Isn't that really strange? And we're going to give them free money and college and healthcare and things that our own citizens don't have. Well, what do you think that's going to do? That's a, hey, I'm giving you money, I'm bribing you to vote for me. That's exactly what that is. It's very obvious what they're doing when you really sit down and think about it and you put two and two together. And we just allow this stuff to continue to happen while these people are treasonous, spineless weasels, treacherous toads. Like we can just sit here and use all these lists of adjectives: demonic, satanic. I mean, these people are nefarious, and I don't believe them. Oh, we have to help these people. I don't believe you because, some comedians and other people, they're like, hey, that's great. You want to help these people. How many homeless people are you taking in? Or, how many of these refugees, however many different countries where there are refugees, there are like, 10 plus nations that are, in some kind of a crisis where if you flee, you're given refugee status. And they're like, well, I donate to an organization. It's like, okay, bitch. All right, you donate to an organization where 90% of the donations go to administrative fees and only 10% goes to actually helping whoever the cause is for. It's like, yeah, you're full of shit. You're virtue signaling. You're pretending to care about people, and you're not actually doing anything. And one of my big stories, or one of the things that bothers me too, is like these people who announce that they're helping people. If you're really trying to do good, you don't announce it, right? I had this homeless guy years and years ago, and I'd seen him around where I was working at the time. And, one day I ran into him, or, not, physically, but I was going into the grocery store to grab some lunch for the day. I think it was vegetarian, so I was grabbing, fresh produce because I wanted, make a salad or something with some fruit and stuff for lunch. And I ran into the guy, and he asked me, can I buy him some food, like, for sandwiches and stuff, the materials, and I just happened to do it. And I didn't record it for social media. I didn't post it online and try to brag that, I just helped this homeless dude and bought him food for a day or two. It's like you just do it if you want to do it. But you have these people who go around, recording it or making these huge productions about, we're helping these poor little Africans. It's like, shut up, dude. I don't believe you, and I don't care. Okay? I can't help little Africans. And me giving you money, I know is not going to help little Africans. What I do know is I personally can impact people in my life. If I am physically coming into some kind of contact with you in my daily life, then I could try to do something. If I have a little extra, I will try to give a little extra. Okay? Not always. Sometimes you gotta hoard your wealth to build your wealth. But sometimes you have a little extra, you feel like helping somebody out, or you see somebody's just in complete despair and it's bad. Sometimes not even giving them something other than your time can help them. Just talking to somebody. Fiery Waco says open borders doesn't work in a welfare state where the majority can just vote themselves money taken from others. Of course, it's just basic logic. Okay, like eventually the system is overran. There isn't enough money being fed into the system, and it just bankrupts itself. And it's like, oh well, I guess we can't have welfare anymore. And it's like, oh, but this is what this country promised me when I illegally came here. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. Go fuck off to wherever you came from. You've ruined my country. Well, first of all, you ruined your country. That's why you fled it. And now you're coming to my country and you ruined mine. And now you're complaining that you ruined my country. It's like, fuck off. I don't know what to tell you. These things are controversial for some reason. And I always try to break things down to simplest of terms so people can understand. I always like to use the house as an example. If you break into my house, I have the right to use any and all means necessary to defend my house, my property, and myself. Okay, and that's up to and including using deadly force. Period. The end. I don't care what the law says. I will deal with that after the fact. If I feel like I need to take you out, I will take you out. Now, in an immigration situation, if somebody breaks in your house and they're living in your basement or they're living in your attic or something, and you don't really know about it because they're a legal immigrant, okay, it's like, maybe you might hear scratching in the walls. Oh shit, this goddamn rodents or roaches or something. Call the pest control. But it's a person. It's like, okay, that's problematic. Okay, you scale it up. It's like, this person doesn't belong here. It's not like, oh my gosh, well, he's here now. Well, you gotta feed him, and it's like, no, bro. How this works is, if somebody comes to you asking for help, then it's like, okay, you had the balls and the dignity as a human being to ask me for help, and I'm going to tell you, yes, I can either help you or I can't. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, this stuff gets me so mad because it's so obvious, and people are like, "Oh my God, you're a heartless bastard." It's like, no, I'm just being real, and you're just lying to yourself. If an illegal, let's say you have a 4-bedroom home, you use one bedroom for you and your spouse. You have each bedroom for your kids, and you have an extra room that you use for like an office for the two parents or something, right? Technically, right, you can clear out the office and take in an immigrant, take in a homeless person, and now they're no longer homeless. But it's like, that's your luxury, that's your choice. But the fact that people are trying to force us to give up our resources to people who didn't earn it or that we didn't consent to giving it to, as if we're the bad people. It's like, no, you're breaking a natural law. You're basically stealing from us. You're invading us. And we're the bad guys? It's like, dude, you're projecting your evils onto us. We haven't done anything wrong. So fuck all those people who are like, oh, you're a heartless bastard. It's like, no, I try my best to help people. And I've never said I'm against legal immigration. That's, you show up to our door, you knock on the door, hey, I'm falling on hard times. Is there any way you could help me out in any kind of way? Now, most people are going to be like, fuck off, like, you're weird, you're trying to do something bad to us, and shut the door. But let's say, for the sake of argument, you're not, like, scared all the time, okay, like me, and I'd be like, okay, what do you want? Like, what's going on? And you explain their situation. Well, no, I can't take you in. maybe I can send you on your way with some food, or I have like some aspirin, like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the best you could do, maybe, and maybe point them in a direction of somebody who can help them. But the fact that people feel entitled to your resources is like the most offensive thing to me ever. It's like, these leftists who are like, oh, no means no, like the whole consent thing. Like, yeah, if you force yourself on a woman, it's rape. It's like, yeah, no shit. It's the same thing here. It's a form of, it's akin to a rape-like situation. When you are forcing yourself onto someone else, whether it be sexual, whether it be their rights, whether it be their property, whatever. It is that kind of violation. And what's going on, Night Fox? You said, this is a quote. If someone breaks into your house and you shot them, you value your things more than a person. And your response is, no, that person decided to make their life worth less than the value of my things. I 100% agree. Is this dude lost? Oh, no, he's good. Okay. Sorry, we have a lot of fresh faces coming in for a meeting, so that's why I keep having to step away. I gotta figure out who they are and then point them in the right direction. Lance Corporal Veteran says, I see giving money to someone who is homeless as an investment. If I see no return in self-improvement, then I stop helping. If they won't try to do more. And that's exactly it. I 100%, like, you could help people if you want to. Some people are just completely callous and don't want to help anyone. If you're religious, typically your religion will try to teach some kind of charity that you should try to give to people less fortunate than you. And while I'm not religious, I was raised, Baptist, Christian Baptist. So I'm not gonna pretend like I don't have some of those values still. But no, like, if no one's gonna force me to feel obligated to do anything. In fact, the second somebody starts acting entitled to something, we're done here, and I leave. I'm like, no, you're not gonna try to guilt me into giving my hard-earned resources away to somebody who I don't even know. So, but yeah, definitely an investment, and to see if they're going to get any better. Fire Awake, so here's another point. There's nothing in the Constitution that authorizes the federal government to provide any taxpayer-funded services to the general public. I understand that, and this is why the founding of the Constitution, I believe, there was no permanent tax. There was no income tax. That's something that was instituted much, much later. There was no permanent tax. It was just kind of like, the government just runs because people want the government to run. People will pay money or donate land or resources because they want the government to run. There was no major tax. So it's ridiculous because what's happened now is the government has weaseled their way and wormholed and pigeonholed and basically made this backdoor type of, it's totally illegal as far as I'm concerned. They're stealing from people who live here. Okay, if you legally live and work here, you have to pay taxes, and they're redistributing that wealth to this elite class. For one, they get first dibs on your money. This wealthy elite class, and then they start divvying it out to people who are poor, underprivileged, underclassed, whatever. And there's nothing you could do about it. You literally can do nothing about it. People have been trying to vote away this stuff for generations, and nothing happens. It just gets worse. And they try to make you feel bad about yourself, that you're not okay with your hard-earned money going to people who are not working, who are not even trying to better themselves. oh, you're racist. You don't want to help under. It's like, well, okay, so that's assuming that black people and black and brown people are only poor people in this country. It's like you do realize there are more than just black and brown people. There are white people that are extremely impoverished in America as well, all over the country. In fact, most of the homeless people I see are white. But that's the celebration parallax. This is this Orwellian type of situation. It's maddening. It's so maddening. Fire Waco says, and there's nothing stopping any state from taxing their citizens from doing that themselves, which is what America was supposed to be. Each state is basically supposed to be its own country that works collectively under the United States of America. And it's so frustrating. People don't even understand what this country is. They think that the states are just like going to a different city. It's like, oh, it's the same thing. It's like, no. Each state is basically its own country. A state means a country. It could be the United Countries of America. It's interchangeable. They're supposed to be separate countries that have a shared collective like overview of values. But people are just completely, they don't get it. Verwico also says, and there's nothing stopping any, oh, we already said that one. Papers, please. Yep. Well, I mean, yes, I do have to ask people for their papers. If I don't know them. If you're a face that already works here or whatever, you're like, I already know your name, you're good. But yeah, I mean, that's the job. But see, that's fine because this is a private sector job. This is a volunteer situation. This is all voluntary, all consenting. They are voluntarily trying to come through this private property, so we are authorized to search for their identity, for their papers. If it's police or just in the middle of the road for no reason, show us your ID. It's like you literally have no justification for this. Like, why do you want my ID? Oh, we're looking for somebody. Okay, that's not my problem. I didn't come to you. Now, these customers, they come to me. So, yes, I have the ability ethically to ask for their papers. Just completely random, but yes. Brandon Hoskins said, did you see the Peace Corps' guide to volunteering in Ukraine? It says blacks should expect to be called the N-word. While in Ukraine. I did not see this, but I have heard murmurings in passing of stuff like this. Just because I'm hyper aware, it's just so obvious. It's obvious. Like, Ukraine is a Eastern European, if not, just, I don't know, Soviet nation, right? They're white, but they're not, they're like straddling Europe and Asia, but you would just call them like Slavic people, right? I guess for the most part. They are extremely racist. Extremely racist in the Slavic nations. Extremely racist in pretty much all the Asian nations against blacks. And we're just like pretending. People think they have this weird delusion like America is racist compared to the rest of the world. It's like we have one of the most comprehensive civil rights infrastructures in place that if somebody goes out of their way to be racist and discriminate against you, you have the chances that you're going to get rich off of that are just like you're probably going to get rich institutionally if somebody is discriminates against you. Random stupid Karen bitch on the street, you might get a little 15 minutes of fame, but you're probably not going to get rich off of that. But yes, I totally understand Brandon Hoskins, and they don't understand. Is that that's a spider. That's a little jumping spider. when you're trying to explain the Azov Battalion to people, it's the Celebration Parallax. And I think most of you probably missed all of this conversation. So I'm going to post this in chat. And I'm going to re-up the conversation, or I'm going to explain what a Celebration Parallax is again, just briefly. But basically, it is a paradox. It is where some authority figure or politician or political party or established something is celebrating some idea, some plan, some talking point as this great, fantastic thing, and then you hear it, and then you quote them, or you're talking about it too, like even word for word, but then you have a question about it, or you have a concern, or maybe you just outright oppose it. Any of those varying degrees is automatically seen as a threat. Therefore, the thing that they were just talking about, those in power, the establishment, it's no longer real. It doesn't exist. You're a conspiracy theorist. That's what a Celebration Parallax is. It's a beautiful term for what's been happening the last few years. It is absolutely terrifying. But that's what's been happening. So hold on one second. Let me share screen to get into this, because I know most of y'all missed this. The article title is "That's Not Happening, and It's Good That It Is." It's a paradox. It's not happening, but it's good that it is happening. All right, so Celebration Parallax. Parallax is an apparent difference in position of the same object. Let me make sure this is sharing good. Okay. Same object seen from different vantage points. For instance, an analog speedometer that reads 60 miles per hour to the driver, but 50 to the passenger, even though the needle itself is only one place. Basically, let's just say it was, like they said, a speedometer, but it's maybe in the middle of the car. So from your vantage point, it's going to be at a certain number, but from the passenger side, it's going to be from another one. Okay. Celebration parallax may be stated as the same fact pattern is either true and glorious or false and scurrilous, depending on who states it. Okay. So literally the same thing. You could say the same thing, but if the establishment does it, those in power say it, it's fantastic and celebrated, it's great. But if somebody else says it who's in opposition to them in any meaningful way, anyway, then they're the enemy or they're crazy and all this other stuff. You're a racist. Okay. So in contemporary speech on any controversial topic, or to say better, regime priority, the decisive factor is the intent of the speaker. It could be if he or she can be presumed to be celebrating the phenomena under discussion, he or she may shout her approval from the rooftops. If not, he or she better shut up before someone comes along to shut him or her up. Also note that the key distinction here is celebration versus non-celebration, not support versus opposition. So that is a distinction, because you're not necessarily in opposition. You just maybe are not even enthusiastic about what's being discussed, and you're just like, you're still their enemy. All right. And I'll get back to the chat in just a second. I just wanted to recap on this because it's super important. This is like one of the most critical things that I think I've talked about in all year, if not even last year to some degree. Because this is a new way of looking at things, and a way to describe it. Just the utter insanity to what they're doing. It's a form of propaganda. It's very powerful. It's been very effective. Because most people are not paying attention. Okay? Most people don't understand that, Joe Biden literally is talking about the liberal world order in this speech, New World Order stuff. And all these news organizations are saying, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. if you talk about it. But Joe Biden said it's fine. But when you bring up that Joe Biden talking about the New World Order, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're ridiculous. It's like, that is what this is. This is the celebration parallax. Okay. One day now actually clearly oppose a subject under discussion. Almost done with this, and we can get back to wrapping up. A discussion in order to be blameworthy. Declining or neglecting to celebrate it forcefully enough is enough. Exactly. If you're not a big fan of open borders or whatever, it's just like, why are you not happy that all these brown people from Central and South America can just come here? It's like, I'm just kind of neutral, not really, either way interested in it, I guess. That sounds kind of racist to me. That's what this is talking about. As in Stalin's Russia, lack of enthusiastic clapping is regarded as opposition. The legitimacy of one's right to state the same identical fact in the same identical language depends on who one is and what one thinks of it. Since the left presumes that all persons of color approve of the phenomena covered by celebration parallax, the parallax is really a test to distinguish allies from deplorables. And the first time I was reading this, I was going through it, and I was just like, okay, this sounds like affirmative action, all that. And yeah, they were talking about this in the article. So literally right here, to the best of my recollection, the origin of celebration parallax arose from the need to defend affirmative action, a very unpopular policy since its inception. The party line therefore goes like this: people of color must be granted explicit preferences to overcome America's legacy of racism so that we may diversify America's power centers and end white male dominance, a move that, in addition to being necessary to address the country's inherent racism, improves those institutions by infusing them with different and hitherto neglected points of view. Also, kids of color need role models who look like themselves. All right. And I was using this example to talk about the Supreme Court Justice nominee. I might do a video about her. I've been kind of holding on it. Kind of want to do more digging before I open my mouth too much on her. But basically, Joe Biden said that I'm only going to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court. Okay, so she's an affirmative action candidate. She's a diversity hire. And Democrats are like, oh my God, these Republicans are so racist. And it's like, dude, you said it. You are picking this woman as a affirmative action hire, as a diversity hire. Republicans aren't. They want the best candidate. And it's like, it's gotten so ridiculous at this point that it's no point for me to even say that I'm not a Republican or that I'm not a conservative. There's no point anymore. It is, you are either 100% with us or you are against us. So I don't even care about these titles anymore. When people try to claim, oh, well, you just say nothing but Republican talking points or conservative talking points. It's like, I'm on the side of like reality and truth. Okay. And I have to call out the most extreme, crazy shit that's happening. And it just happens to not be conservatives right now. If the roles were reversed, I'd be calling out them. I don't have to, because they have some semblance of reality still. Alright. Let me get back to this chat. And they're the good guys, talking about the Azov battalion and all that. Again, same thing, celebration parallax. For years, Nazis are evil, Nazis are bad, Nazis are on every corner, Nazis are trying to take over America, Nazis are infiltrating government, Nazis are in the military, Nazis are in the police department, Nazis are in the fire department, Nazis are everywhere. And now all of a sudden, they're openly displaying Nazi symbols and regalia, openly flying Nazi flags with Ukrainian colors. They are openly putting swastikas and the black sun, which is a SS Nazi symbol, on their uniforms and on flags. on patches, and Western media, American specifically, and activists and politicians are just like, completely oblivious, like, oh, nothing's happening. There was even a rumor that ABC or NBC blurred the patch because they knew exactly what it was as they were getting, talking to them or whatever on this report. It's like we're living in a dystopian nightmare right now, and if you don't know that by now, like, I can't help you, because we're beyond advanced level, right? We're beyond the doctorate level at this point. We're getting into like scholar level, where we're digging into texts from 5,000 years ago and looking at cuneiform tablets. Like, that's how advanced we are in the conversation. I don't have time to go back and explain like from day one kind of things. I can't help you. We're talking like 15 years deep in trying to figure out what's the truth. Lance Corporal, a veteran, says Ukraine has a large population of Africans who live there under student visas. This is because it's a result of the legacy of treaties under the Soviet Union. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing that, and they're like, oh, we're getting abused because we're not getting evacuated, equally as natural-born Ukrainians, and I'm just like, sorry, sucks to be you. You are a visitor in their country, and I don't know what to tell you. Like, they owe you nothing, and it sucks. Okay, it sucks. But if I don't care what country it is, if Japan decided they wanted to take in Martians, let's say a Martian ship. We're just using an example. If Martians crash landed outside of Japan and they're stranded here, there was a TV show in the 90s, Alien Nation, fantastic show. Basically, aliens crashed on Earth or landed on Earth, and there's like, I don't know, hundreds of thousands or millions of them on this ship, and we just had to take them in. I mean, we could kill them, I guess, but they're not hostile, so why? So, Japan could take them in, and then let's say they have a famine or something, and it's like, well, Japanese people are going to eat first before the aliens. Sorry. I mean, I don't know what to tell them. It sucks. It sucks, but it doesn't matter. Like, I understand, like, everybody, like, a lot of people make things about race. Not you, obviously, but people make everything about race, and, oh, they're abusing the Africans and Ukraine. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up. They already were doing them a huge favor by even allowing anybody who isn't from that country in. So the fact that there is a extreme emergency, the worst kind of emergency a country can have is you're being invaded by a militarily superior nation who is trying to destroy you, as far as you can tell. Yeah, probably people who are supposed to be there, or like citizens, are going to get first treatment and first class treatment out of there before you. I don't know what else to say on that. 2 months ago, I took a job refresher course, and one of the items of instruction was what? Oh, okay, here we go. Was on how to speak in non-gender towards people, because somehow trans are above 1% of the population, to worry about their vote somehow. Yeah, that's the thing, is like, I'm all for trying to treat people with some semblance of respect and dignity, right? You tolerate, as a society, you tolerate most things and accept lesser sum of other things, and there are just some things you don't accept and don't tolerate. Okay, fine, but as a society, we for the most part have been forced to not only tolerate but to accept this whole trans thing. They are less than 1% of the population, like 0.5% of the population. Okay, so they are virtually inconsequential to anything in society, yet you see them and hear about them everywhere. And I think that's really odd because it makes you think that like 1 out of 4 people are transgender or something. It's like, no, it's not even remotely close. It is astronomically small number or amount of people who are transgender. Um, so why we are having to completely radically change our language and our culture and our society to accommodate a micro minority is just flabbergasting to me. I do not understand that at all. Again, it doesn't mean you have to be rude or nasty or violent or belligerent towards them. It's just the fact that we even have to have a conversation. Well, maybe we should let this group of people dictate the entire language of the majority, the super majority, the mega majority. It is like I said, like 0.5% of the population. It makes no sense that we're being forced to change our language and culture because they're the weirdos. Like I don't know what to tell you. It, I'll leave it there because I abuse the trans subject enough, and yeah. Oh, son of a bitch. I have a QA here. If y'all want to stick around, stick around. It'll be 10 to 20 minutes before I come back, so be advised. So I'll be Okay. I don't know how this is still running, but I think YouTube just didn't like this. It says I have a connection, so I don't know. It could also be because the computer just restarted, so it's acting a little funky. But it looks like it is okay. So yeah, I apologize for that. I probably should have just ended this, but I didn't for I don't know why. But yeah, the computer monitor. I came back and the computer monitor didn't want to turn on. It's like burning out, so it's good for now, but that's not going to last. But I appreciate everyone who was watching this, and I guess I'll just try to I'll edit to cut this part out that I was not here. So thank you so much for watching, if indeed you still are, and I will see you all next time.